All right, good evening. Welcome to Pinole City Hall. I'm Contra Costa County Supervisor Gioia, and we are here with a series of town hall meetings about
Recording in progress.
Public input on investing $1 million to improve equity and reduce health and economic disparities in West County. I'll talk more about that, but I appreciate the partnership we have with the city council members, and so I wanted to have Vice Mayor Anthony Tave give a welcome, and I want to acknowledge that Councilmember Norma Martinez-Rubin's also here. We've done great things together, like reopen that fire station, man, right?
Yes, we did. We had a lot of good things happening, and through your support at the county has been great. I just want to first welcome everybody. Good evening. I'm glad we're having the participation we're having. Supervisor Gioia has been a champion with Pinole and working in partnership. The fire station with Measure X and the effort that went through. I just want to say that, we did show that when you align the county, the citizenry, the local government, the fire district, there was a lot of stars that aligned, but you could see how great things happen. And John, you were instrumental in that process. So I want to say
thanks for your leadership in the city council.
Awesome. Yeah, and everybody, welcome. And I'm hoping we have a great discussion today. So I'll turn it over to John. And thank you for being here.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And just to know a little context, we are doing 5 town hall meetings here in West County. We already did one at the Rice Center for young people only. We had like 50 young people come, and that was great. By the way, all these meetings are being recorded, and they're also being broadcast on Zoom for those who may want to participate remotely. And the purpose of these over the next few weeks is to really get some public input about how we as a county invest $1 million of what were federal ARPA funds. Some may remember the American Rescue Act during the pandemic, and counties and cities received a fair amount of money. And we had some dollars we hadn't spent. It was about $5 million countywide, not a lot of money. Our budget is $7 billion a year, right? Most of that is health. And so this $5 million of one-time dollars, we decided we would allocate $1 million per supervisorial district for one-time grants into communities. And for me, it's really focusing on improving equity and removing disparities, removing health and economic disparities that exist here in our part of the county. Other supervisors may have different guidelines about how they're going to spend the money. We decided we would take some time and do these 5 town halls, one in Pinole, one in San Pablo, one in El Cerrito, one in Richmond, and then one for youth. And all of these, they're meant to be informal, and my staff is here. We've recorded this. We're going to take input from this. And we want to hear some ideas from you. And my thinking is that after hearing public input, we will fine-tune some guidelines about maybe a grant process. And it may be grants under 50,000, grants over 50,000, and larger amounts. We will figure that out. That could go to organizations or to a public agency like a city to fund, again, programs that really are about removing disparities and achieving health and equity. So that's really the purpose. I want to acknowledge I have several of my staff here, Ronnie Mills, Robert Rogers, and then Tanya Polito's in the back room handling technology, because this is, as I said, on Zoom as well. I want to be clear that $1 million of one-time money is not a lot of money. There's a lot more needs. We've been investing already a fair amount of dollars in health and social services and housing and rental assistance, a lot of those issues, especially coming out of the pandemic. We are concerned about the federal cutbacks to healthcare. We run one of the largest health systems in the county. We have a county hospital and 11 clinics, 2 here in West County. We run social service programs, and some of the proposals, and I just want to acknowledge Harpreet Sandhu from Congressmember Garamendi's office is here. Congressmember Garamendi, myself, and another supervisor did a press conference at our county hospital to really emphasize the impacts of the federal law HR1 on our health system. We estimate that out of maybe 200,000 people who are on Medi-Cal in this county, that up to 70,000 could lose their health care. What does that mean? It means more people going to the emergency room. That means all of us wait longer in the emergency room when more people go there for primary care. It also means people waiting and delaying getting their health care, so they get sicker. It cost our healthcare system more money, right? I don't need to tell you that. I recognize many of you are great advocates on these issues. Thank you. I may say thank you very much for the work that many of you are already doing in food security and, in the arts and in helping our most vulnerable populations and formerly incarcerated people. I mean, just amazing housing. So many of you here. Thank you. So, just to note, we're concerned about what those cutbacks may mean for us. We also allocated, our Measure X sales tax, which brings in $120 million a year. We allocated a lot of that to health and social services, in addition to reopening the fire station here in Pinole. So lots of needs, and thinking more about $1 million is, again, helping organizations fill some gaps over the short term. I want to also recognize Gabriel here from our state senator, Jesse Aragine's office. Our state senator is a great advocate in Sacramento. He's chair of public safety and another committee, Human Services. It is very rare for a freshman legislator to be chair of two main committees. The senator, I worked with him a lot when he was the mayor of Berkeley. Great guy, cares about these issues. We actually took him on a tour of some of our homeless and mental health programs in North Richmond not too long ago. Of course, Congressman Member Garamendi's been at these, and of course, just to acknowledge our state assembly member Buffy Wicks, who's been also a great. I don't see anyone here from Buffy's office. Oh, there you. Yes, sorry, you have the mask on. So to acknowledge our assembly member, who, in fact, I think your district director is coming with us tomorrow on a tour we're doing with the State Association of Counties on our homeless and mental health facilities around West County. So we've been fortunate to have great legislators, Assembly, Senate, member of Congress, to really advocate for us at the state and federal level. And so with that, I'm going to turn to Robert and Ronnie, who are assisting in how we're going to do this. Again, this is being recorded. And we are transcribing everything we're getting. We did this. We already transcribed the input from 50 young people. And again, after we do all 5, we are going to be really transparent about the kind of input we received. We think that's important. And then think about, how to lay out a grant process. I think other supervisors' offices may already be starting a grant process, and they've held 1 or 2 town halls. We decided to do 5, right? And we just wanted to spend more time to do this and to get that input and then put the grant process together. So with that, Robert, so are you helping lead us in questions, or Ronnie? And Tanya, again, from my office, is in the back, handling the online and other technology. Great.
Yes, and all of the above. Thank you so much, Supervisor Gioia. I will be helping facilitate some discussion. Ronnie is going to be helping capture ideas, as John has mentioned a few times, all being recorded. And look, this is super exciting. There's a lot of different ways that money can be allocated, but Supervisor Gioia is always thinking about a more inclusive community process. It's not just what we're building here with this money. These are the kinds of ideas, sentiments, leadership right here in this room that drive the future as well, that factor into how money in other allocations get spent. So the feedback that you have today is vitally important, vitally serious, and helps everyone do a better job in the expenditure of public resources. What we can do now, we're moving along fast. We have the pizzas outside, by the way. Grab them on your way out as well. That's Richmond Pizza House in Pinole, a new place, great restaurant right here in Pinole. So check them out. There we go, boom, boom. So,
they live locally.
That's right, that's right. That's local entrepreneurship at its finest. So what I think we could do now is, what we want to do is we want to do a mixture of Q&A and feedback. So Questions, absolutely, all within realm. Supervisor Gioia himself is going to field most of them, I imagine. And then also, if you want to provide feedback in lieu of a question or in addition to it, we do that as well. Ronnie's helping to record that as well. So the real point is, please participate. Let your voice be heard. Supervisor Gioia wants to chat with you.
And I do have to do a special shout out because, you know, my sort of public service career was inspired by my father, who was a civics teacher at Kennedy High. I know there's 2 former students of his here, at least 2, right? Yeah, from Kennedy High, 2 Kennedy High graduates. I just want to note that. You know, we all have a history, and my father helped inspire me as a government and civics teacher. So thank you to 2 great Kennedy High grads. So,
A logistic thing. We have translation. It's translated on Zoom. There's the Spanish-English room. If anyone in here needs translation, we have the equipment here to set you up for that as well. We want to be as inclusive as possible. We have the mics here and here. We ask for your feedback and your questions. Please come up and utilize the mics, not only because we want to hear your voice here, but also because it helps for the folks at home. We have a big audience that is Zooming in as well today that couldn't be here in person.
And feel free to say who you are if you want or not, and what organization you may be involved with or not. So with that, we can ask people to really come, you know, make sure this is on. Yeah, because that way we want to get your comments recorded, and that's why we're asking you to come up, unless you want to take a mic around to people too, Robert. That's another possibility. Again, you can see we're doing it very informally. We have an extra mic we can take around to people.
We certainly can.
Let's do that. That way, if you don't want to come up here, you can choose to come up here, or we can go around and get you at your spot. By the way, just so I get a sense, how many here live in Pinole? Right? And then how many, just so I see numbers, don't live in Pinole? Okay, good. Mix of both. Great. All right. Yeah. And again, when we do the others in San Pablo and Richmond and El Cerrito, again, people can come from anywhere, both on Zoom and here. All right. So with that, should we start? We can start from one end. Let's start from this end, and then we can go around and get comments. And Ronnie's recording them. But if you have a question, this is also a chance to have a dialogue and answer any questions. Okay.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Gioia. And I should also remind our Zoom audience and Tanya, we will also take questions from the Zoom world, and we'll handle them here as well. So please alert us when they come in.
Hello, everybody.
Before you start, we're going to how long, just so we have a sense. We're not limiting how long you speak. We're going to like 7:30 or 8. What are we doing?
We wanted to go to 7:20.
Okay.
Go to summary and then...
Okay, good. All right. Excuse me.
Hello, everybody. My name is Margaret Young, and I'm president of Pinole Garden Club. We have a long history of working with the city to beautify the city and improve the city, and we've been around since 1956. So I have a question. We're interested in starting a community garden because Pinole does not have one, and I think it would be an excellent use of some of the grant money because that promotes good health, good fresh food. And I don't know, we don't have any details worked out. I haven't yet met with anybody, but we're really, we would really like to be involved in that. So.
Thank you. And just to say, I'm a big supporter of community gardens. We've actually helped fund some in North Richmond, up in East Richmond Heights, and some other areas, some at school sites, some in community, and a great way to link people to the land. And so thank you I had heard something about that, so thank you for raising that. It's a good idea to have, so we've recorded that. And as you say, it's really health-based, right? And it gets people connected to their food and nutrition. Great, thank you.
I'll go back. Oh, okay. Thank you, Neil.
Is your comment going to have something to do with the arts?
It's just
Okay, yes.
you know me. Yes. My name is Jenny Belisle, and I am the executive founding director of Arts CCC, which is the county arts agency. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to do this. This is really important. One of the things that we've heard in the convenings and workshops that we've done is how to incorporate creative solutions to support youth our elders, and veterans. So however you decide to spend the funds, I hope those are communities that are part of that process. We run a program at Juvenile Hall with youth that come throughout the whole county. We also started art workshops at the libraries. And just this last month, we've seen one workshop have about 30 to 40 youth, and we give food, and that food is gone. So I just hope whatever you decide, it's creative, helps the community, and some kind of food element and nourishment that supports everyone.
Thank you. All really good comments, and thank you for your leadership and helping as we move, not just prior work in the arts, but as we move forward to really create an arts infrastructure in Contra Costa, and the importance of linking that and creativity, right? Yes. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jack. I'm with Coco Kids, a nonprofit that gives a childcare subsidy, free childcare referrals, and other childcare services, or services supporting childcare. And I wanted to thank you, Supervisor, so much for giving us the opportunity to speak on the issues that we hold dear and serve. And wanted to make sure that when, you're deciding how to use the funds, that you think of the children. They can't necessarily, speak for themselves, the youngest of us. And I really appreciate you having a town hall that's dedicated to hearing the feedback from the children.
Yeah, we got great input for like 50 young people at the Rise Center in Richmond.
Yeah, it's amazing. So anyway, thank you so much for this opportunity.
And no, thank you for the work. I mean, Coco Kids is great. I know we allocated some funding in that space out of Measure X, some funding, and I know realizing there's a gap even because, First Five's not able to fund them as much as they used to because of, changes in their revenue stream. So thank you. Yeah, good. Thanks.
Thank you. And also, we're reminded that it's good to stay behind these for the camera at home.
Okay.
And over here, I see Neil.
Good evening. I'm Neil Zarchin. I'm with Food for Thought of Contra Costa County, and I would like to encourage that funds be made available to organizations that fill holes in the existing safety net. The safety net is porous, to say the least, and there are some organizations that work to fill in those very specific gaps. I'm speaking with a certain amount of self-interest.
But it's really on behalf of vulnerable populations. So you're the voice of those vulnerable. So it's not your self-interest. You're speaking about community interest.
Yeah, my nonprofit's self-interest.
It's okay, Neil. It really is.
I'm nervous. But I actually have a couple of questions. When will these funds be made available? And will there be restrictions as to how they must be spent? Would they be for direct service? Would they be for capital improvement? I would like to encourage as few restrictions as possible, and I think all the nonprofits generally will agree with that.
Good question. I can't speak to what the other supervisors are going to do in their district, although I think some of them have already put out some calls for funding. We decided to wait to this process to end. Like I think Supervisor Carlson has put something out. I don't know what's in his. I will say, I agree with you. I think I want to set goals based on what we hear about helping most vulnerable populations, and the least restrictions does make sense. Capital and services. I haven't made any final conclusion until I hear all the comments, but I do agree. I think the direction I'm probably headed is it could be for one-time capital to help deliver services, or for the services themselves. Like for example, I was working with a lot of churches and heard that many of them have kitchens to be able to try to feed people, but they need improvements to those kitchens. And so I know we used about we have $1 million of our Measure X dollars that went to our Employment and Human Services Department to look at food security. So I do think, investments to build infrastructure to serve more people is a good thing, in addition to services. So I think it's good input, and I tend to agree, but we'll see as we finally come out with guidelines. But the least restrictions, the better. I hear you.
Hello, I'm Allison Blakely, and I actually live in El Sobrante, but this happened to be at a good time for me. I have two main concerns in West County, and that is unhoused people and preventing people from becoming unhoused. And then also, it was expressed in another one of these meetings that the people that live near the oil refineries have a less good quality of life. They breathe less good quality of air. They have more breathing problems and lung illnesses. I wonder if there's anything we could do about that.
Two really good questions. So the good news is this $1 million is not the only source of funding to do all these important things. And the reason I say that, I serve on the Bay Area Air Quality Management District Board, and we are actually going out into the community now. I've been at 5 or 6 different neighborhood councils in the Richmond area on a community process we are developing at the Air District on how to spend $36 million just for Richmond, San Pablo, North Richmond, surrounding area that are impacted by pollution, especially from the Chevron refinery. These are fines and penalties and health dollars collected from Chevron to be used in the community to address that. So I think that's going to be the source of funding we'll be looking at. I don't think we'll need to necessarily draw on this more limited $1 million because we've got $36 million just for that. So just to know, good. So that's a good question to comment on. Homeless services as well. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something we'll look at as well. Fortunately, we've been able to get a fair amount of state grants to build. Actually, tomorrow on this tour we're doing, take our legislators and State Association of Counties is we just built we just expanded our shelter beds. We're building transitional housing. We built permanent housing for previously homeless individuals, 54 units in San Pablo with supportive services on site. We're building a residential mental health facility. So we are getting funding sources from state and federal to do these things, and local dollars. And there may be some smaller programs we could use some of the million for as well. But yes, so we are never having enough money, but always trying to bring in more. The Miraflores development in Richmond, that's a City of Richmond development, so I'm less familiar. I know there was a project there and there was some approval, didn't go forward, but because that's in the city and approved by the Richmond City Council and under the city's authority, I don't have all the specifics. I would know if it's in the unincorporated area, like, or a project the county's involved with. And we're going to see some of them tomorrow. And I appreciate, Assemblymember Wicks has been really leading on building affordable housing and changing state laws so that, it's easier to build housing. So that's great, really important stuff.
Hi there, and thank you again for all that you do. My name is Elaine Cortez Schroth, and I'm with the 333 Arts nonprofit that I'm supporting right now. And
Can you tell me more about 333 Arts?
Yeah, we go into underserved communities and gather the local artists that create murals and projects and work right within that, again, to uplift the communities, those that need that, really creating that sense of community. As I know, Richmond and your area has a lot of great associations with that already. I would just kind of taking a look at advocacy and awareness through the arts, looking at maybe some murals that are putting in QR codes that are linking to our access. I know that with mental health, 211-988, we're getting so many calls on that, and just having art as a way to look at things and also a link to access those codes.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I think arts, people don't realize there's been a lot of studies that show how arts improve people's health. I mean, not just the active work to do arts, right, and bringing community together to do that, but even arts and health facilities. Our county health department has art in health facilities, which also, has been shown to improve people's health, right?
Yes, thank you, John. My name is Antoine Cloret, live in Richmond, California. Just founded an organization called Black Excellence. The issues of our community around that refinery is that we were redlined. We never got services. The money that came down from that refinery, through history, never hit our community. We were overlooked. We were ostracized because we were not supposed to stay here. We were supposed to work and leave. If you look at the history, go back to history, the black community who came to Richmond through the shipping industry was supposed to work and leave. We stayed, and through our staying, we were redlined because the outer area was John's area, which was the county area through North Richmond.
North Richmond,
right? That was where the black community lived. That's what we strived at. And then we moved out to St. John's, Barrett Apartments, into these other rural areas, these projects. And so now, Chevron has made a great effort, but through the county's partnership, we got to think this is this county, state, and federal state. People don't think like that. So John is making a great effort. I want to tell you, John, you've been my friend. I sit on your board for 15 years. Always made a great effort for Richmond, for the district that he represents. Our black community supports him 100%, but this time right now, it's our time to get what we got coming. It is our time, right? It's always a season and time, and John is going to take this $1 million, and we want to, in our community, like the young lady said, it's our health and our exposure to health and wellness in that community and how we were affected through 50 years of living by a refinery. That ain't never been said in the community, how we were through asthma, bronchitis, cancer, you know what I mean? And so we want to go have a relationship with the county to say that we can go out there and get that data and get them numbers and say this is what we want to see for our health and wellness. And we got to change the word. I'm going to say this to everybody in here, to the county, to change the word from mental health to health and wellness. Because the black community is not going to nobody who say that we mental retarded and crazy, because that's the stigma word for mental health, right? But if you use the word health and wellness, we will kick your door in to come get some help. You know what I mean? So let's think ahead. Let's think toward the future, how we can help our community. And it's not about black, y'all. It's about the community, because Richmond is a very diverse community. It's not just black. It's Hispanics, it's whites, it's Russians, everybody in Richmond now. So, but we have these new people coming in trying to tell us what we need for us, and ain't never been us. My friend here, she stayed on 5th and Barrett. You know what I mean? So, we have great history and legacy of those who strive. So let's really take a look at this $1 million, because all it is a starter kit. $1 million ain't no money, y'all. I'm just, don't get all excited. I ain't excited about no $1 million. I just ain't, because I know once you pay some bills, that $1 million gone. You know what I mean? We ain't talking about paying your salary. Once you pay rent, PG&E, buy some food, partner with where that lady at? Ain't she all right? This is next with the senior with the food bank. She want $500,000. So let's really think how we could partner with each other. I believe in teamwork make the dream work. That's why I'm here. We gotta quit being silos. We have to form ourselves into a coalition.
And tell us, Antoine, we don't have to get ready when we are.
No, you don't stay ready. You don't have to get ready. You stay ready.
Right. Okay.
So we're gonna stay ready, and we're gonna get ready to partnership. That's why I'm here, looking for partners. How we can partner with each other and stop fighting over these crumbs, because that's what all we doing. We fighting over crumbs. When there's millions of dollars, if we come together as a coalition and say this is who we are. Here's an umbrella, and we fall into the umbrella. This business, y'all, and you have your budgets out, and you say this is what we want. If it's 20 million, 36 million, John said he got.
Thank you,
36,
Antoine. Thank you. Okay. Yes, I can give you the mic, and I know you can go on for a few minutes. You can go on as long as the last 2 minutes of an NFL football game. Which go for how long? Anyway, yes, all really important things, and I appreciate your work, with people who are formerly incarcerated, and meeting people where they're at. Appreciate that. Important work. and beyond. So, the county is making an investment specifically on African American wellness because some of the greatest disparity gaps exist in the African American community. And we actually are investing in a hub of services, much more than $1 million. So that's the good news, including in West County. And we've got a process. We actually formed an Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice that was proposed by a former supervisor and now late supervisor who passed away, Federal Glover, and myself. We brought it to the board back in 2020. We have 2 great co-directors. We are focused on racial equity, social justice, which is, race, ethnicity, immigration status, language status, right? People who may have other disability and challenges. So we're really focused on language. So we're focused on all of those. We've started with a lot of services for the African American community because of the great disparities. And we are going to be investing in a hub of services countywide and here in West County. And so I think that's going to be a larger fund, which is good. And then what you mentioned too, we have control over the 36 million, the Air District, over 36 million in fines and penalties from Chevron, which will get spent in the area, including for communities that may, do health. For example, I don't know how many of you know this, but the industrial shoreline from Richmond to Antioch has some of the highest rates of hospitalization for asthma. And I said hospitalization for asthma, which is a slightly different metric than asthma itself, because if people aren't getting health care and they're delayed in getting health care for their asthma, they end up being hospitalized. So you know that, Pamela, right? So, we have to be intellectually honest about what's the cause of that. Air pollution is a cause. So is lack of access to health care. So may be lifestyle behaviors. Others may be indoor air quality issues. So we want to address all those things. And I think that $36 million fund is going to help with regard to some of that. So that's really important. I mean, it's no surprise that if you're around diesel as well, like the Port of Oakland, West Oakland has some of the highest rates of cancer because of the diesel trucks coming out of the Port of Oakland. So yes, all good things, registered. Thank you, Antoine. Going through here.
We're doing very well. Thank you so much. We have our next question on Zoom. We have another 30 minutes, so there's plenty of time for everyone to participate and speak. That's what's so great about the small meetings. Everyone gets to have the floor. We want to get all of this rich feedback. And speaking of which, Zoom, can we unmute Tanya?
Tanya, who's there? Tanya, can you hear us? Okay. We'll go back and then they'll interrupt us when they have the question, okay? And by the way, our legislators are staffs are welcome to say anything they want to. They're all great. So, all right, Robert, who are we going to next? Yes. Oh, okay.
Hi, John. Pleasure to see you again. Yendi Raboyo, Executive Director of West Contra Costa Meals on Wheels. First, thank you for everything you do. Currently, Measure X is still one of our biggest funders, and we really are just shooting to continue providing service to our elderly seniors who really need our support and get nutrition from our meals. Our goal is to enable them to age with dignity, respect, and safely in their homes above all. And actually, Gabe and I had a quiet experience right along in the Iron Triangle where I grew up, as Antoine mentioned. And I just really wanted to ask a question about the 36 million. Part of our elderly senior folks are located in Richmond, and they are located very close to Chevron. Being that we already are getting a bit of the Measure X funding, do you foresee that some of that 36 million would benefit or go to West County?
So that 36 million has to be spent in the greater Richmond, West County area. That's the good news. We actually have a fund in Benicia, Martinez, because it's this new policy that we're spending fines and penalties in the community where we assess the fine, because that was the community that suffered the harm, right? So what we're going to do, this good question, the guidelines for how that money will be spent are going to come out in the next month or two. You're getting a twofer today. You're getting this one and maybe learning about the 36 million. So we're going to have guidelines on that. You notice that your vice mayor noticed that right away. Where to get that funding, and the council member too. So we're going to issue some guidelines. The Air District will in the next month or two. We'll have some more input on that, and then looking at those guidelines. Let's see, we're going to start a grant. Those guidelines have to be approved by the Air District Board that I serve on, including our equity committee at the Air District, which I also serve on, by December. So in January, we're probably going to kick off an application process. So think of January as when you'll start applying for that. So some of the things you're all mentioning here, to the extent you're in West County, are maybe things that could be funded through that. Some of it's going to be really health-based. Some could be tree planting in a community. Could be helping people deal with asthma issues. You know, so let's look at how broad the guidelines will be in their draft form, and you know, contact my office to make sure you get linked to that. And again, they'll be approved in December. So yes, I think some of the things here could get funded out of that as well.
Excellent. I'm told that we could try the Zoom again and it might work out better. Can we get that Zoom call?
Yes, we can see you.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Steve Spratzer. I'm a volunteer with White Pony Express. First of all, I'd like to echo the comments of others who have supported the use of these, the $1 million funds for food security in the district. You know, with the federal cuts, you know, the SNAP reductions, it's going to be a little harder for our vulnerable neighbors. The point I'd like to bring up is, in addition to this, someone mentioned about what are we doing about air quality and what can we improve it. White Pony Express and others, and some others pick up surplus food from supermarkets and other food outlets. And it's estimated up to like 40% of food is wasted nationwide. And a lot of this goes to landfill. And in California, 11 billion pounds of food are thrown out each year. What happens is that when this food goes to landfill, it creates methane gas, which is about 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So with food rescue, you get a double benefit. You get to feed those who are hungry, and also you get to have cleaner air. So because we've specialized in perishable food for many years, we prevented thousands of tons of carbon dioxide equivalent from entering the air we breathe. So I just want to bring up the fact that food recovery will, over the long haul, improve the quality of air that we breathe.
Thank you for that, and thanks. I've been out to visit the White Pony Express facility out in Central County, and I know you've done deliveries and provide food to people here in West County, so thank you for that. It's a great organization, and thanks for mentioning the food security issue. I think I'm hearing a consistent theme, not just today, and you know, I've heard it at our board meetings. I've heard it in the community about the importance of food security, and for me, a lot of it is building the infrastructure up to sort of continue to do that. Obviously, we'd like to live in a world, in a country where you all go out of business, right? We don't need a food bank. We don't need White Pony Express because people aren't hungry. It's sad, it's shameful that we have hunger in our country, but that's right. In the meantime, we're trying to address. So thank you for what you do. Thanks for that input. Yes. Oh, and then you're next. You're next.
I'm going to hand it to you. Okay. Hey, Christy Lamb Julie.
And by the way, I think your son provided some input already here.
Yes, he. Yes.
$5 million of how to spend it. Thank you very much. And we're going to talk about this and consult about this.
Yes.
There's 5 things, $5 million.
Yes.
Track that, 5, bam.
You know what? Your mom is a great advocate on so many things, and I can tell you are learning well from her to be a strong advocate. No one will say she is not strong as an advocate.
Yes. So, Mama, advocate, and Sitting on the Developmental Disability Council, we've had talks about the cuts to Medi-Cal and how are we going to provide for our community members that are now just increasingly growing more vulnerable and decreasing access to services. So just understanding that piece, how even with the Medi-Cal promise, it's 7 years now, and that's not going to come through. So understanding that the providers are probably going to leave state because they can get paid higher elsewhere. So then that will just make the shortage for providers as well. Hi, your representative for the Women and Girls Commission as well. Let's go talk. We have a lot of folks.
We're on the Women and Girls on the Women's Commission.
Yep,
Yes.
sitting on 2 commissions. Come hang out with me. We get a lot of messages from community members that are just not too comfortable reaching out to their electeds, to other organizations looking for resources. And just the common thread is how are we going to coalesce all of these amazing organizations and just really put out this collaboration of what do we have right now so then we can figure out what we need to go work towards. But just those are my concerns, is like how do we just allow our vulnerable community members to just continue to just not survive, but to thrive with dignity.
Let me just ask you this, knowing that, you know, this is something we're dealing with at the county level generally. We're facing these possible large cutbacks, right, especially in health and Medicaid, that we're not going to be able to close the gap for. So on this fund of money, which is a small amount, what do you see is possibly the best investment of a smaller sum of money that maybe leverages or does other things, or, you know, knowing that we're not going to have enough money to close these gaps? How would you think? I mean, you're involved with a lot of things. You are. How would we think about a small sum of money to, you know, to close the most important gap, or to maybe seed some idea or something else that can grow?
Just knowing Contra Costa likes to work in silos, I think we just really need to stop doing that and talk to our neighbors, talk to our friends. We have organizations in this room, in this county, that are doing the work and just making magic out of pennies. That we really need to be reaching out to these organizations and just saying, like, you've got this program that is working, that's making an impact. What do they need to go ahead and take it to the next level? We can definitely learn from the Stop the Hate initiative. It was like 180 organizations across California coming together, learning from their best practices, and then implementing it back into their communities. We were able to stretch out quite a bit. And it's just, let's stop with the infighting, let's stop with fighting over crumbs, and let's start talking together and just really knocking it out.
Get to business.
Thank you. Good. I mean, you know, I do feel that when there are opportunities to raise more money in large areas. We need, a Congress that will, instead of doing cuts to the wealthiest people, tax cuts. You know, if you look at what happened with the tax bill, the net income of the lowest income people went down as a result of this bill because of impacts that it had on health care and food stamps and other programs, and the net income of the wealthiest went up. Think about that, right? That law raised the net income of the wealthiest and lowered the net income of the lowest income residents in this country. I mean, so this is what we're fighting against. And it makes it tough, right? And then the state doesn't have all the funding. The state has cut, right, health services to put people who are undocumented, right? Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ken. I didn't plan to speak. I'm just here to, show my daughter how leaders conduct the business. She was just elected in student council in elementary school.
Give her a hand. At Collins School, right?
Collins.
All right, to the
Elementary.
Pinole council members. All right, one day, future, right, leader here. Leader today.
Thank you so much. But all of you inspire me to speak. I heard a lot of, huge problem and also important issues that all these leaders in this room address. But I also would like the leaders here not to overlook even for the micro level. And I would like to share as a mother of a student, even at elementary school level, I currently experience, the conflict and difficult kind of, issue on the campus, and moms are coming together to deal with that. But I feel like, it ties to all the mental health that we're talking about, youth issue that we're talking about. But it would be great that, school have at least a counseling service or even one socially conscious, counselor with cultural competency. When these kids have difficult, conversation like race issues or LGBTQ issues, that would be really nice for us parents to get that kind of support on campus. Right now, we don't have that kind of support on campus. We're just cannot come together and deal with that on our own. So I really want to piggyback on Antroy's suggestions of cooperating and collaboration together. And I would like to bring that issue up here, even though it might be a micro level program.
This is a really important issue, and I've heard this before. In fact, Christy Lamb-Julian, sitting behind you, has raised some of these same issues with us here in Pinole. I appreciate you mentioning that. And let me just say, so I get to co-chair with the superintendent. There's a committee of council members, a council member from every city in West County, and myself and the superintendent who co-chair it. And we meet every couple of months focused on systems change in the school district and how can the cities and the county support the district, whether it's through these types of issues. Like, for example, we are funding at the county a family navigator at Dijon Middle School in Richmond full-time who helps link families to resources and services. We're doing a lot of other things. So this could be something we will raise at that meeting with the superintendent about what can we do as the county and cities to support them to do this. Cultural competency is so important. It's important in how we provide healthcare, right? It's important in how we provide social services. It's equally important in the schools. My father was a high school teacher. I understand, the challenges in the schools. So I appreciate you saying that, and we'll take that to, it may not be this $1 million, but how do we work to support the schools on that? So thank you. By the way, at the end, I want to give an opportunity if our state or federal legislative representatives want to say something briefly. You're welcome to do that because you're really part of this team. We all do this together. These are great legislators, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you very much. Really important. Thank you for coming. I know you are also an immigrant to this country. How many people are immigrants here? Okay. How many of you are the child of an immigrant? So, yes, thank you. And what we're doing in Contra Costa is we're looking at building and focusing on an immigrant welcome center with services in West and East County. We're investing millions of dollars in that. In fact, I'm losing my chief of staff, Sonia Bustamante. Some of you know her. She's going to go and join that with Susan Kim to help run that center at the end of the year. And so but she does good work, and it'll be great to see her in that role. But we're investing there. We're investing in something called Stand Together Contra Costa, which supports immigrant families at risk of deportation through our public defender's office. So, about nearly 30% of the people who live in this county are immigrants. 35% of the small businesses in this county are owned by immigrants. So the message I think we need to put out there is that protecting our immigrant families is also about protecting our economy. Not just protecting them, we're protecting all of us, protecting our economy. And I think that's how we need to tell other people and understand that our immigrant families are important contributors to our economy and important contributors to the civic life of our community. Thank you. Antoine, I'm going to get back to you at the end. You've already spoken once. No, okay, yeah. Wait, she said it, not me. Okay. All right, go ahead. Briefly.
Our problem is I don't know you and you don't know me.
Here, take the mic.
And so if you're going to build a community, we got to love on each other. We can't separate from each other. This system has separated us from each other. And that's why we ain't helping each other. So, but when we go to a school and you're forced to bring your kid into a system that they're not used to, and the belief system that you practicing ain't being practiced in that school system. It ain't being done like that. And so we got to, when you have cultural competent people, you teaching that kid about that culture and the other culture, and then they coexist with each other. Yeah. And then when you bring that, then you can bring health and wellness into the equation of the vicarious trauma that kid going through that other kid don't know nothing about. You know what I mean? And we as parents going there because they get into a fight or argument. We got to deal with it in a way where it's holistic, so the school and their education can grow and flourish. It's a way you do it, and we have to be trained as parents and as educators how to educate and lift our kids up to be healthy and well.
And that applies in all communities, right? Cultural competency in the Latino community, African American community, Asian community, all of this. Our other immigrant community, you're right. I mean, it's really important, and I know we try to work on that in our health department system. Yeah.
So a quick time check. Things are going so well, very sharp. All the good feedback. We have ample time. We're going to do a second round of people who haven't spoken yet if they want to. Also, just to let you know, after we've concluded this, Ronnie has been on Supervisor Gioia's staff, has been really listening carefully, marking everything down. He's going to come up and recap the themes, the ideas that have come here. And on your way out, we're going to ask you to use stickers to vote in importance of the ones you have. We want to make sure that your feedback has maximum impact. So go ahead, Joe.
And by the way, Gabe, what I said while you were gone is at the end, any of the representatives for legislators are welcome to come up and just say something if you want, because it's a team effort here.
So
I want to make sure.
Is there anyone who has not spoken yet who would like to speak?
Not that you have to, but
it's
you
wide
want.
open to
yes. All right.
Oh, I see here and here. Okay. Would you like to go first, big guy? There you go. Go ahead.
I think we, the crosswalks, I think they should be orange or something bright colored, so cars can notice them more, and so people can see dark since orange attracts light. So, and yellow and white. So that's what I think we should do, so people can see better in the night.
Or better lighting in a community too, right?
Mm-hmm. That too.
Which will help. Different ways to make things more visible. Right.
Here we go. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Supervisor Gioia. My name is Sarah Gerdian. I run the Contra Costa Budget Justice Coalition. And my question to you is, we understand that there was a final tranche from the FEMA reimbursement totaling around $7.8 million. And so I'm wondering if that's something that'll be discussed during the October 21st meeting or at a later meeting, and whether that'll be added to the 9.7 countywide.
Good question. See, the Budget Justice Coalition is a great coalition of organizations who really look at our budget from an equity standpoint, and I really appreciate that. And it's includes many local community-based organizations, and thank you for leading that effort. So, so the $5 million that I talked about was money that originally came from the federal ARPA legislation. There were some other ARPA dollars that were previously transferred into a county reserve for use for emergencies. And I think that's the money that you're talking about. I am advocating because the one thing about our county, let me just say, I'm proud to say we have like the highest credit bond rating in local government, AAA, because we've been prudent in how we manage our revenue. And we have some good reserves. I mean, literally hundreds of millions of dollars in reserve. And, they're not enough to backfill federal cuts, but they're important to have for the one-time money. So there were some ARPA funds earlier on that were transferred into a reserve fund, and it's around, I think, the amount you mentioned, Sarah. I am advocating that we pull those into this process. I don't know what my colleagues on the board will say, so we're going to have a discussion about that at our meeting when the report comes back. I think is this coming back the 17th of October, 21st, forgetting my dates. So on the 21st, we're going to hear back on townhalls. Some of my colleagues are going to be ready to make allocations. I'm not, because I'm doing my process here, and then I'm trying to be really inclusive. But we are going to talk about this issue of whether to allocate some of these monies that are now in reserve that were federal ARPA dollars and put those into this pot of $5 million. I'm advocating that we do. I don't know, again, where the board will come out on that, but that'll be a subject of discussion.
Wonderful. Thank you. We also...
I was going to say on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It slipped. Because right when you asked the question, there was another comment about funding.
We also have some Zoom comments. We could take those and revisit this.
Okay.
Okay. First, this is from Sam. This is just a comment, and the other one's a question. The comment is funding for free COVID-19 vaccine clinics. That's what Sandy says. And then the next comment and question is from Marjorie. And she says, need for continued support for seniors at West Contra Costa Adult School who help seniors avoid isolation, provide outreach and education for mental stimulation. Then her question is, can a center for unserved areas be considered?
So in West Contra Costa, the West Contra Costa Unified School District Adult School funded some senior day programs at some churches. Because of their budget cuts, they cut those. So what I advocated for was to use Measure X dollars to keep those programs running. So in West County, we're using Measure X dollars to replace the West Contra Costa adult school funding to keep several of these day programs open. I think Richmond's funding some things in Richmond. We're funding others. So the good news is those continued. There weren't any cuts. As to other funds, as one center, I think what we're finding is, having these programs at different places like churches around the West County makes sense because it's convenient in the communities where people live and can get to. So I'm not sure about having one center. I know Richmond and San Pablo have senior centers. Pinole has a senior center. I don't know if Hercules does. They do, yeah. So Hercules, Pinole. El Cerrito does not, but we're working on, we're actually spending $1 million to fix up our veterans building in El Cerrito, and we're talking with seniors about maybe using that for some senior activities as well. So yes, I'll look at this, but I do know there's some work going on in different churches on this. And on funding the COVID, during the pandemic, the county did COVID shots and, vaccines and testing for anybody, right? We stepped out there. We did it using our healthcare delivery system. Now our public health department does it for people who may not have health insurance. So if you can still get these from our public health department, but we also want Kaiser, John Muir, Sutter to step up and do their part. So if you have health insurance through one of the health facilities, you go there. If you don't, you can go to the county public health.
Okay, so in a few minutes, Ronnie is going to come up, recap everything, and send us out to vote and then get some food. So with that...
Yes.
With that, let's take these last questions. Okay, let me bring you the mic so that it'll go to the Zoom, please. No worries. Problem. Thank you.
You were mentioning about John Muir and except that they're pulling out of West County. John Muir is pulling.
They're closing the clinic. Where's their clinic out here?
Pablo on Vale.
Wait, you're talking John Muir.
Yep.
I know
were
there's
just
Lifelong
given
Medical.
notice.
No, I'm not talking about Lifelong Medical, because Lifelong Medical's here.
No. John Muir.
Okay. Oh, yes. I did hear something about, they have a small clinic. Yes. So I did hear something about that. I met with their CEO recently. I know they have their other facilities are like in Berkeley, I think. Yes. Right. Yeah. And my point is that if you have a healthcare plan, and you can go to, like, if it's not John Muir, there's other providers that do shots for your healthcare plan, hopefully, right? But I did hear that about John Muir, yes.
I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
West County always.
Yeah. I was at, Kaiser Richmond had their 30th anniversary of their Richmond Hospital last Friday, and I went to that. And Kaiser is important. They're looking at how to expand. They increased the size of their emergency room after Doctors Hospital closed, and half the people that use their emergency room are not Kaiser patients. So if you have an emergency and you need to get to a nearby hospital, our Contra Costa AMR, which runs the EMS system, do bring people to Kaiser, even if you're not a Kaiser patient, and then they transfer you when you're stable. But yeah, so yes, there is definitely a shortage of emergency room beds here in West County, and that is an issue. I know Senator Arreguín, when he was mayor of Berkeley, and currently, we had a lot of discussions with John Muir and Sutter and others about, how do we attract another facility? That discussion is ongoing. The question is who has, $1 or $2 billion to build a hospital, right? I mean, the cities and county don't, and you really have to, we've learned you have to be part of a larger health system. A standalone hospital does not survive given low Medi-Cal reimbursement rates, right? Who else are we not? Yes. Yes.
Hi, I'm a native of the city of Richmond, born and raised. My name is Pamela. And just listening to everything that has been said, I was just inspired to have just to say something. I raised my children in the Iron Triangle, and all of them have asthma. And growing up near the chevrons and, the refineries played a huge part in that. And they are still, two of them are adult sufferers of this chronic disease. And it really was a challenge raising them, with those conditions. I would have to take off work a lot, and I couldn't really take a real job because I didn't know who was going to need me to be home, And healthcare, that really sparked me how important healthcare is in our communities, in any community. And I've always been an avid fighter about healthcare, quality healthcare. And that's what I've basically, when I did take a job, that's the first thing I look at is what type of benefits as it relates to medical and dental. And that's just really been my top of the list, for everything. And I have a real compassion. I have a real compassion about quality health care for the residents. I've worked with the people like the Dr. Henry Clarks and what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about, and walked with them.
You have a great history of advocacy.
That's right. And it doesn't matter where I move to. I'm kind of borderline Pinole Hercules right now, but Richmond is my home. And so I'm still involved with the things that happen in Richmond. And I just wanted to say that my other compassion to that part, because you guys were talking about this medical thing, is the part about people, you say the 200,000 people, and at least, what is it?
Maybe up to 70,000.
Yes, that's devastating. That's crushing.
Yes, it is.
That's very crushing.
In order to raise the net income of the wealthiest people.
Yes.
That's the trade-off that's happening.
Yes. And that really is very bothersome. So I'm just hoping, we may not ever get enough to do it all. But if every little bit that we can put towards that, it would be appreciated.
And Pamela, I do think some of this $36 million fines and penalty money from the Air District will will probably get used for some health-related things. And I thank you for telling your story about asthma. We know a lot of people have asthma here related to environmental pollution. And sometimes we will never know what caused. I mean, I've been pretty public about my son just is recovering from a bone marrow stem cell transplant that he got at Stanford. He's a Kaiser patient. And it was the result of a very rare autoimmune disease called aplastic anemia, which is the same disease that killed Eleanor Roosevelt. And one of the causes of it is that can trigger it is benzene. Where where benzene comes from. We get benzene emissions from refineries. Could be something else, but so sometimes we will never know what caused our health condition. And in his case, was triggered by benzene. I don't know. Can't say that, but just like asthma, complicated. Many things contribute to that. As a young kid growing up in Richmond, I had a few incidental cases of asthma, and then fortunately since then never had any cases, so I don't have it, I guess, anymore. So yes, we need to acknowledge that and honor that, and I do think we're going to be spending health money. Before we go through again, I do want to give a chance to to our representatives. If you just want to say some words, Gabe or Harpreet, you're welcome to, since they control funding and so forth. And I just want to acknowledge your leadership, Congressman Garamendi, State Senator Arreguín, and I know Assemblymember Buffy Wicks.
Thank you, Supervisor Gioia. Thank you for holding not just one but multiple meetings for the public input. And
by the way, he's applying for the AC Transit Board, I'm told. So it's an appointment process, right?
Yes, $1 million is substantial, but not enough to fund many of the different causes that have been brought up here. And when you mentioned about federal funding, and there are cuts all over the place, 40% of the money that comes to development disabilities comes out of the federal funding. There have been cuts to SNAP programs, to veterans, and all sorts of programs have been cut. So it's unfortunate. But tomorrow is going to be another day that we're going to wake up to federal shutdown. And just want to take this moment to let our public know what things will be affected. Our national parks will be closed. That will happen tomorrow. Transportation, even though the airports will be open, there'll be longer lines and some delays. Quite a few delays may happen. The Social Security and Medicare benefits and payments for Social Security supplement security income and Medicare will continue. Unfortunately, some of the other new services may be delayed. The VA facilities, we have that in Martinez. The facility will be open to clinic, but some of the processing for veterans will be closed. U.S. Postal Services will continue. Immigration sites will continue to have their sites open and process some of the things. Small businesses will stop taking some of the things. So, and health and safety inspections will continue. So this is going to affect all of us. Unfortunately, the plan the Democrats were hoping to put in was put $1 trillion back for Medicare, and that didn't happen. So, but thank you for doing this, and hopefully, as you said, these were ARPA funds that will hopefully come back and be able to substantiate some of the problems that we have, or the lack of fundings we have in our food banks and other places. So thank you for doing what you're doing, Supervisor.
Thank you. Also, your own personal commitment individually. I know you used to be on the Richmond City Council. You're a leader in the Sikh community, in addition to for your work with the Congress member. Thank you, Harpreet. Gabe, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me, Supervisor. My name is Gabe Sandoval. I'm a district representative for State Senator Jesse Arreguín. I'm also a Pinole resident, so this is it's personal. It's personal for me as well. And thank you for your leadership in hosting all of these events and to get all of this feedback. Something that I can share, unfortunately, the state is not in a good financial position either, mainly because there's been some volatility around the state budget the past couple years based on kind of like our tax structure. But what I will with the federal funding cuts as well, there's a lot of discussions at the state level as to what the state is able to backfill, what the state can't be able to backfill, and also with the counties and that the state, and there'll be funding cuts all over the place, unfortunately. But what I will say is that with the sometimes there are some sorts of funding available, depending on what kind of things are going on at that time. So a good example of this is one of the things that did get funded in the state budget this year was investments in wildfire mitigation. So even if the state budget isn't looking good, or there still might be some sort of opportunities for funding. So I'd encourage all of the organizations here, whether it's to local nonprofits, government agencies, to work with the elected officials, whether it's the governor's office, state, federal, city, county, because sometimes there might be some funding available, and it might have to be a little bit specific, but it's always helpful to just put it out there and put the request out there. The legislature works with organizations, nonprofits for what we call district budget requests. We encourage any organization to reach out to the office to learn more. But most of the time, unfortunately, because we aren't in good budget years, there aren't a lot of things that can be funded. But if it's helpful for us to just know what that request is, because if the funding is available, we can have a list of, oh, this would be a good request for funding here, or maybe actually this would fit here. So it's always helpful for us to see a lot of different requests, and then if something is available, we have something that we would be able to look at.
Thank you, Gabe. Thanks for those comments, and and thanks for the senator's leadership and helping us with trying to fund homeless services and health services and all of those things. And it is. I mean, we really depend upon the state. Counties are creatures of the state. We're agents of the state with regarding health and social service programs. So when the state has financial challenges and makes cutbacks, it directly affects cutbacks to us and our services. And now if you compound that with the federal cutbacks, it just makes it even worse. And so thanks. And I know the senator, when he was mayor of Berkeley, he understands the need of local government, of cities and counties very well. Yeah, Harpreet.
Sorry, Supervisor, I forgot to mention our offices will be open, all three offices in Fairfield and Vallejo and the Richmond office. So if any services...
Despite the closure,
yes,
right? Yes,
sir. All the offices will be open. And any federal issues that do come up, please do come to our offices.
And I know all these cuts affect cities. So I don't know if Vice Mayor Tave or Council Member Martinez Rubin, appreciate your work, your leadership. Do you want to add something either of you want to add? Vice Mayor or Council Member? Okay. All right.
Well, I do want to say we have all the right people in the room for this town hall. So I want to thank John again for organizing this. I will say that with the city, we are working on our budget as well, like all cities do. Anytime there's funding like this, we try to make sure, similar to the Measure X funds, that there's alignment with the community needs all the way up to the county and state. When things get unstable at top, it usually trickles down. And so I think what the city, looking forward is just staying disciplined with our budget, being intentional on how we spend our money, and making sure that how we spend that money is sustainable. So the common themes I've heard are health, wellness, food, right? These are the things that are all things that I think everybody's pretty much laser focused on. And one of the things I do want to mention is there's a synergy here that can happen when everybody is having these discussions. And so I just, again, thank you, Supervisor Gioia, for helping us out here with this town hall. And it's been a great listening session for me. Even the arts. We have several murals in Pinole, so we're probably going to be calling you guys and Coco Kids. I found my daycare through you guys. So thank you again for your services. So I will say that I am excited about having these conversations and for the future. Despite what's going on at federal, despite what's going on at the state, I know our state representative is fighting hard for us, advocated very hard for Senator Araguin to get that office, because I know he'll advocate really hard for us as a small city. So just want to say thanks for being here. Housekeeping, the restroom is out the door to the left. I think we missed that one, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that you're welcome here anytime coming back to City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to Pinole, and not only tonight, but through the year. Because one of the things that I did is I took note of the different organizations represented here. I have been in the public sector prior to being on council. Most of my challenges have been related to funds because there's never enough funding in the public sector. So we learn to do with what we have, and we learn to work with each other, even if it's outside of our own organization. Often it has to be outside of our own organization. So as an example of something that can be done with one-time funds that are relatively small and that can seed programs is to do post-assessments of projects that are already in place. And I'll give you an example of something that has worked here in Pinole and that I was part of with Friends of Pinole Creek Watershed back in 2019. Fast forward to 2024, City of Pinole passed an ordinance, a plastic reductions ordinance, partially based on the data that came out of that project. But it wasn't only the data about how much pollution or how many microplastics were found in our watershed, but also the involvement of people and it was a project that was intergenerational. So one of the guidelines that I would request that you consider as well, again, with this idea that there isn't never going to be enough money, is that the projects have multiple benefits, or at least touch upon those most vulnerable communities, which are on the opposite ends of the age spectrum usually, children and seniors. And the common thread there that I heard as well tonight is food scarcity, and that's an economic issue. But there are intergenerational projects that can have a nice life to them for a little bit of funding. And what I'm thinking about is this is the 5th year for Friends of Pinole Creek Watershed to do an assessment of what worked with all the monthly litter trash pickups that have been occurring since that project. And every month, the Friends invite people from within Pinole and outside of Pinole to help with that. And you say, well, I hardly have time to clean my own house. Why should I be outdoors? However, if you think of the watershed here in Pinole, crossing 10 miles through Pinole, it beautifies not only our city, but back to this idea of recreation, natural recreation as a means of addressing mental health. We learned this through COVID, the importance of open and public spaces, parks, trails, free, accessible to the public, requiring us to be mobile, to be out there, to not be isolated, and to get to know our neighbors on a common task that is for several hours. That also collects information on a project that can have both a beginning and middle and an end and ongoing. And the ongoing aspect here, and I'm pleased to be part of this, along with Mayor Pro Tem Tave and my other council members who years ago, but now started implementing in 2024, that plastic ordinance. So our role is to do something with having to do with changes in policy and ordinances and rules in the city. But the work that supports that is the involvement of people in our community. And that was one project. At that time, it was funded by an outside organization, actually an international organization that a colleague of mine helped me find. And it required also that we teach people about stewardship, environmental stewardship. What does it mean to take care of the environment in which we live in? Not only our house spaces, but the public spaces that we occupy and that we can share. And what does it mean to live in ecosystems that are not only people, but that are beings, fish and wildlife, and the water that leads into our bay? And what does it mean to be consumers, in this case of plastics? And what might we do about that? And fortunately, many times the success of projects is also about timing and what's happening at the state level. And there were a number of different regulations and ongoing and laws that help with recycling and also reduction of plastics, et cetera. But our little seeding was about We have a creek here in Pinole, like San Pablo does, like other areas in our county do, that also have to be taken care of because they are part of our home. They affect us not only individually, but they affect us as a group and also the environment in which we live. And we're all part of that. And if we're to meet each other outside of our own living rooms or outside of settings like this, it's in places like that that welcome anyone, regardless of your position on any one of the issues that you brought up today, but that we can share something in common. Now, many of the things that are brought up today about reducing disparities and increasing health and wellness and promoting health, I essentially grew up in my public health career. So these are echoes, and sadly, we're still hearing about the need for this. So I want to get away from the super duper challenging issues that require millions and decades of people's involvement at different levels to projects that are doable within a certain number of years. So another part of the guideline that I would recommend, and I offer my involvement as a program evaluator outside of council member, is to help review those grant applications that you will eventually have so that we can also make sure that we build some capacity on the evaluation of those projects.
Good point. Appreciate those comments. Thank you. One of the things we're doing on our Measure X investments, Innovation Fund, and other things like that is looking at how do we evaluate our investments so that we understand that we're funding programs that are achieving meaningful outcomes, right? Because we want to put more money to those programs that are achieving results, as you say, Norma. And you're right. I mean, creeks, environmental stewardship. I've been involved for the last 35 years with coastal cleanup in Richmond, and the thing we get out of that is not just cleaning the shoreline. It's the environmental ethic that people develop to take care of their environment and their community, and they practice that the other 364 days a year. They may get out one day a year to do that, but it inspires all of us to do that year round. So it's exactly right. And as both of you have said, we're short in our public system. We have to be accountable to taxpayers about how we're spending our money efficiently. And then partner with community-based organizations as well. There's great, all of you, thank you individually, collectively, whether you do it individually or with your organization, thank you for the work you're doing because you also inspired me to do this work. I'm better at it because I work with many of you, and I really appreciate that. So that's what's great. I think we have the most active part of Contra Costa County, let me just say, because I know this county very well. And you are the most activist. And so that makes our community better. And, it's okay to be loud. It's okay to be persistent. It's okay to even be angry sometimes because we're all dealing with issues that really make us angry that these issues exist and that these disparities exist and that we can't solve them quicker than we can and we don't have enough resources to solve them, right? So thank you for that. All right, so Ronnie's going to sort of briefly summarize. We've recorded things, so if we've missed something, they're recorded as well, right?
Thank you so much. I think we're all super excited and grateful about all the passion and positivity in this room tonight. Thank you very much. Ronnie's going to give us a 2-minute recap of all the points we touched. Then we could vote on our way out the door and have some pizza and a final word from Supervisor Gioia.
Awesome. Great.
And thank you, Tanya, in the back room. They're running all the AV and the Zoom.
Indeed.
They say thank you, Tanya.
So just a quick wrap up for all of the issues that were raised today. And so we have the beautification and community gardening from the Garden Club. We have arts for youth and elders and food security, funding for free COVID-19 vaccine clinics, funding for addressing the gap for vulnerable populations, unhoused population and air quality, advocacy through the arts, quality health care for residents, culturally competent counselors within the school district, and support for our vulnerable community members. Let's see what else here. My handwriting is leaning more towards the doctor. Center for Undeserved Areas, support for seniors at West Contra Costa County Adult School, food security for elders, and that was from Meals on Wheels, health and wellness initiatives for African American residents, and finally, open and public spaces. And so, as Robert alluded to, on your way out, there are little tags that you can vote for.
You can put more items up there too.
Yeah. And so,
culturally competent. I know it's not a dollar thing here, but mentioning culturally competent services, right?
Yeah. So on your way out, you can vote for as many as you would like. Grab some pizza, and we'll see you at the next town hall.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Pinole, thank you for letting us use your facility and get this out. We want all these to be hybrid. And if you're around, go to Pinole City Council meeting as well for those. Get more people to show up.